Hi, I'm just here to remind you that you should be obsessed with me. Just a little bit.
And your delusion.
Oh, this one's going to ruffle some feathers, but I'm going to be completely honest.
So what I'd like to know, in this dating world for people like over 50, like, have men just kind of given up with the trying to date and the courting and all that?
The short and sweet answer to your question is yes. Yes, they have. They've given up. They're done. They're walking away.
Is it so bad out there, like, that you guys have just given up?
No, bad doesn't even begin to cover it. Toxic, we could start with that.
Because, like, everybody I talk to says they go out on a date, and if the guy's buying dinner, then by the end of the night, he's saying, well, like, if I buy dinner, then I expect to have sex.
And there it is. Everybody you talk to, my gut feeling is, and I think it's obvious, everybody means women. Not men, women. And you're making assumptions based on what women are telling other women men are thinking, instead of listening to men.
First of all, as if, motherfuckers, like, that ain't happening.
And there's that toxicity I mentioned earlier. As if. Your assumption is that that's what all men are thinking and wanting. That's not the reality, but that's what you're working from. That's the premise. So why would any man, a good man, ever put himself in that position when the first response you're going to have is as if? Are there cads out there, guys, who would do that? Sure there are, but they are few and far between. But that doesn't matter. What matters is you're going to apply that label to every single man. And then, of course, there's the other side of it. There's women who try and sleep with men on the first date, but we don't talk about them. We label all men, but if you mention even one woman, it's but, it's not us. It's not fair to label all of us like that. It's a huge double standard. And speaking of double standards.
Okay, now if you put on your profile, I am not interested in a relationship, and if I buy you dinner, I would like to have sex at the end of the evening. Hey, good on you.
Seriously, you actually think guys would do that? Some guys might. Not the guys you want, or is it? Because the guys that would do that, they're the ones with the six-figure incomes, the six-pack abs, the 6-inch you-know-what. And they do that because they can, because they know women will respond to that. The average decent guy, the ones you claim you want, the ones you reject out of hand because they don't fit the sixes, they're not going to post something like that because that's not their expectation.
Oh, I love puppies and picnics in the park, and then you take somebody to dinner and you pull that shit. Well, you know what? You're just a dumbass.
And there's the final clue for you. You assume that all guys are like that, so therefore all men are dumbasses. Why would any man want to date someone who thinks that way? That would be pure insanity on his part. It's why men are walking away. They're done, not just over 50, but at any age.
It's going to ruffle some feathers, but I truly believe being a woman in your early 30s and single is truly the hardest. Societal pressure is at an all-time high to be in a relationship. Most of your friends are going to be in relationships, they're going to be married, they're going to have kids. So you're going to feel that pressure even more, and sometimes you're going to feel extremely isolated. Constantly deal with people asking you about your relationship status. Why aren't you dating? Who are you dating? The fear starts to kick in that you're running out of time. Pressure to settle for someone who might not actually fit the things that you're looking for. There's such a limited pool of men that are actually available. Most 31-year-old single men haven't really done the work. Jesse from Summer House, for example, he's going to jump from one girl to the next because he's tall, probably has a good job, lives in New York. So men that are in their early 30s are not really an option for us. And dating older, they're typically creepy or they just want a trophy wife. And dating younger, they're just mentally not there. Probably aren't looking for the same things. It's so challenging to manage a career while struggling to navigate the dating scene, actually find a meaningful connection. Then you also hit this point when you're in your 30s where you're really secure in knowing what you want, actually okay being alone, but you're worried about people labeling you as undesirable or unsuccessful because of your single relationship status. Like you're missing out on experiences that you would have if you did have a partner. Admittedly, I am a little bit fixed in my ways when it comes to my routine. When I was in my 20s, I was a bit more spontaneous with my day-to-day, and you're going out a lot more. So as of right now, I am not dating. I am just focusing on my friendships, my career, and me, and that feels right.
The
And that's
MGTOW
what today's
reality
article
that
is
modern
about.
women face
The
when
MGTOW
time catches
reality
up
of
with
what
them after
happens
living
when
the city
time
girl
runs out for
lifestyle.
modern women
It's all
after
fun
they
and
live
games
that
when they're
city
young,
girl
but when they hit the
lifestyle.
wall or
It's all
decide
fun
they're
and
ready to
games when they're
settle
young,
down,
but
a
when they hit
crisis
the
looms
wall
on the
or
horizon.
finally ready to settle down,
As the years
it's gonna
roll
be a
by, it becomes
crisis when
glaringly
they can't
obvious to
find a
everyone
man.
that these women are
And
no
every year
longer
that goes
desirable
by,
to the
it's gonna
men
be
they
obvious
seek.
to everyone that these
This
females are
realization is
used
like a
up
ghost
and
that
no one
haunts
wants
them,
them.
especially
So
during
every year it's
family
gonna be like
holidays
the
when they see
ghost that
others
haunts
happily
them,
paired up.
especially during family
The
holidays when
dread
they
and
see
regret
them
of their
used up
past
and
choices
no one
become more
wants them.
palpable with each
So every
passing
year it's
year.
gonna be like
So I made a video yesterday about why most young, ambitious guys are not dating right now. And I wasn't trying to stir up anything. I wasn't trying to start drama. I'm just telling it how it is. Like, this is why guys aren't dating right now. And it's because a lot of them are just grinding, right? They're working 80, 90-hour work weeks. They're climbing the ladder. They're working on their businesses. And a lot of the girls our age, especially the hot ones, they're having a good time. They're traveling. They're getting flown out. They're hanging out with people who are already successful. They're having fun, right? And I don't blame them. If I was a hot girl and I had people in my DMs, I would too. But what I said that angered a lot of these girls is that a lot of these dudes are waiting until they're older and more successful and have more time on their hands to date. And most importantly, like, they have more options at that point, because it's true. If you work on yourself and you're like a high value man, then you have more options. But a lot of girls got really upset. Even a lot of girls that I went to college with, they're in the comments commenting like, awful take, this is horrible. And so I'm a little confused because everything I said is exactly what they were doing. So are they upset that I'm exposing it? Are they upset that the guys aren't putting up with it? What's the deal? Because I remember right after college graduation, I don't think a single one of my friends went on a big Europe trip. They were grinding, working on their shit, while every single girl was posting pictures on yachts or in Portofino. So, like, it will make its way around. The truth hurts, that's all I'm gonna say.
She's only thinking of herself, just like most modern women. There are tons of men out there, but because she's hit her 30s, the high-value guys have lost interest in dating, or even hooking up with her. So of course she thinks there are no men left to date because her options are drying up. The reality is those dateable guys are still out there, they just don't want her. It's a classic delusion. If no guys are interested, they assume all the men have magically disappeared. But the truth is, there are plenty of guys around there simply not interested in her.
Okay, so you're telling me, I'm 24. At my age, my mother had 2 children, and I am sitting in a parking lot eating some grocery store sushi alone after getting a matcha from a hot girl walk. Like, I'm sorry, but how did she live life?
Amy Horton is experiencing hitting the wall and documenting it live because she thought she had all the time in the world and that there would be some sucker waiting for her to finish wiping the white DNA off her mouth to kiss her. That's more fantasy than the Lord of the Rings. No guy worth a damn who's seen her on dating apps for years and maybe has slept with her is going to want to see her as anything but a leftover. She proved that the red pill is real, what we've been saying for years.
This idea that women needed to have a hoe phase, right?
Yeah.
Not my words. I said party years in my book, but it's the hoe phase where it's like you're going to go and explore your options and have your journey of self-discovery. And then right around 29 years old, 30, 31, that's what I peg as the epiphany phase. And that's when women want to get right with God. And that's when they want to like settle down and they want to have, 2.5 kids and a golden retriever in the yard. And that's when you'll hear women say, "Where are all the good guys? Where are all the nice guys?" But they were left back in your 20s when you didn't want to sort of put a bet on a guy who had some potential, and now you're kind of out at 33, 34 as far as your selection is concerned. Meanwhile, men at about 30 are on their ascent to their sexual market value peak because it takes longer for a man to achieve the things that makes him maximally attractive and maximally arousing. So the guy might have, if he's played his cards right and he's maximized his potential, by the time he gets to about 36 years old, that's when he is at his peak sexual market value and has, if he's done everything right, money, muscles, and game, he has the same selection, or if not better selection, than the girl who's 23 years old who was on top of her game.
Back in the day, if a woman was single, there was usually a reason behind it. Maybe she had a disease, was barren, or had a reputation for being promiscuous. Women like this were often looked down upon by society, especially in small, close-knit towns.
Back in the day,
Today, things have flipped upside down.
Whatever
If a
the
young
case,
woman gets
a female
engaged
that
at
was
23,
unwed by
people
her
are
early
baffled.
20s was looked down
Her
upon
friends
by
question her
society,
decision,
usually the
saying
small,
she should
close-knit
wait until
town
she's
she lived
30,
in.
so
But
she
today,
doesn't miss out
in
on
modern
life.
times, things are
The older,
literally
bitter,
upside down.
divorced
If a
women will
young
tell
woman
her
gets
marriage is a
engaged at
waste of
young
time.
age, like 23 years
But when
old,
these modern
everyone
women
around
hit
her looks
30
confused
and
to why
decide
she's
they
getting
want to
married at
settle
such a
down,
young age.
the same men
Her
who were
friends ask
once
her why
interested
she's doing
are
this
no
when
longer
she can settle
available.
down at 30.
They
Or she'll
either
be
already
missing out if
experienced
she
what
gets
she had
married
to
now.
offer or saw her
The
giving
older
it to someone else
divorced
for
bitter
free,
post-walls will
making
tell
them
her
wary
marriage
of
was a waste of
commitment.
time.
I don't care what anyone says. Good people get tired of being good to ungrateful people. You can be the nicest person in the world, but eventually you're going to hit your threshold and you're going to say enough is enough.
It's not like before when people broke up all the time and nothing seemed permanent. Now it seems like everyone around me wants to be settled down already. I'm the opposite, just finding my individuality and freedom and looking for another free spirit. Go figure. What she's really saying is she was too busy enjoying her prime, sleeping around and living that Sex in the City lifestyle, to notice or care that the good girls were cashing out early and snagging the good men. Now she's 6 figures in debt from living it up, and free spirit is just a euphemism for being promiscuous. These free spirits aren't out there hugging trees and drinking homemade vegan smoothies, although that wouldn't be entirely surprising.
The more partners that she's been with, and it's a bouncing bar graph, it kind of goes down like this, but the trend is down. Basically, the more guys that she's been with, the higher probability is that she's going to be unhappy. And there's other issues that come with that. I mean, if she's been with more guys, the higher probability that she's had abortions, the higher probability she's got an
Guys she used for free relationship benefits, like free meals and attention, eventually realized they were being played. They either found women who truly valued them or got red-pilled and started treating her accordingly. She thought she could sucker these great guys again, but they see it coming from a mile away now. You can fool men some of the time, but not all the time. There's a reason men built this world. They might be slow learners or hard-headed, but eventually they catch on. So the number of available men is smaller not because of the dating market, but because of who she is.
Settling with you. I have girlfriends in marriages right now who have settled with the nice, safe, secure guy we weren't all that attracted to. We didn't really want that much. We didn't have any chemistry with. We had meh sex with because we had to. Because the guy we actually felt passion and chemistry for doesn't want us. Or makes us so emotionally unhinged and erratic that we can't look ourselves in the mirror anymore. Normally, those guys that we settle for don't make it happen. To us, it's like, well, damn, if you're putting up with it, well, okay, cool. If you're still here, cool. When you want to go, that's fine. But in the meantime, I got no one else. You're here to give it. Cool. I accept. But my God, I see how pathetic you are, and I will definitely use that to my advantage. We'd leave you in a heartbeat if someone better came along.
Some are even divorced or remarried, which isn't the same as it used to be in the small town where people married their high school sweethearts and figured out life together. Out here in the big city, people take longer to make it official. Now I'm at the age where even my friends are getting married and having kids, and I feel like the odd one out because I don't want the family life. Her friends back in the small town did it right. They married young and built their lives together. Meanwhile, her city friends settled down too, which means Amy was probably living the wild life. The carousel of casual flings is like a black hole. Once women get caught in the abyss, there's no escaping it. They'll be forever addicted to the excitement of new partners, and they'll belong to the streets.
I want to know what you guys think, though. Women.
I think women bring way too much baggage into relationships. That's the biggest problem with
Wait, but you guys bring baggage too, but in a way of you guys don't communicate your needs because of what the
she
last
just asked
person
me
did.
how I felt about the women, and
I'm just saying.
and then brought it right back to. Yeah, I see where it's going. Yeah, you see where this is going. Anytime I try to say my opinion, she asks me for it, and then I say it, and then. But men
crazy.
do this too. Now we talking about the women right now.
You're right.
Women bring a lot of baggage. That's the biggest problem when it comes to dating for me. ISO?
Only thing I'm gonna say is the thing, if we together and you gonna keep complaining about some shit, but you don't want to do nothing about it, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
People always say, oh, I gotta lose weight, this, that, and the third, but you don't go to the gym.
Yeah, word. Yep. That's a fact. Okay, all right.
Dating a guy who's divorced or has kids brings a whole different set of challenges. For one, there's the ex-wife and potentially alimony or other legal issues. If he has kids, that's a whole other ballgame. I hate to admit it, but that's a deal breaker for me. I don't want kids, and I certainly don't want to take care of someone else's. This narrows my dating pool even more. It's not the same as dating a woman with kids. Amy's trying to downplay this because she's a feminist and wants to argue that single dads are just as problematic as single moms. She's also just a selfish __, which explains why men are running from her. She clearly doesn't care about anyone but herself. A woman who lacks a motherly instinct or has a disdain for kids? That's a red flag.
A lot of guys are socially awkward.
I think you're a bit ignorant to like the average guy's experience. Consider this, right? The average guy today, his granddad had to put in a quarter of the work to get the kind of woman that is 4 times as amazing as the woman he's attracted.
Oh, you're talking
about his grandmother was an amazing woman and a very, very feminine, natural woman, and his granddad really didn't have to do the kind of work he has to do right now as a young man in the Western world.
So you're talking about hoflation.
Yes, it's hoflation.
Hoflation. So modern men have to work 5 times harder than their grandfathers did for women 20 times worse than what their grandmothers were.
It's true. It's actually true.
The only viable guys left are either younger or divorced. Well, that's not entirely true, but it's mostly the case. Younger guys haven't committed to anyone yet, and while I don't mind dating a divorced guy, at least I know he's capable of commitment. There's a lot of baggage involved as we all age. But let's face it, post-war women carry way more baggage than men, like 5 times more. The only men who have real baggage are the ones who are divorced or have a baby mama. These men are often red-pilled to some extent and aren't as easily manipulated anymore. Especially since women like Amy are now older and not as attractive as they once were. It's easier to fool and manipulate guys when you're young and hot, but now that your easy mode is over, the game has changed. For women, baggage means they've been through the ringer and are often seen as used up. For men, it means they've accumulated some battle scars and are generally wiser.
What makes a high-value woman?
Oh, God.
What's that?
Concepts foreign to you. Concepts foreign to you. Modesty, being demure.
Modesty. What does modesty?
Yeah, modesty in character, modesty in appearance, modesty in her demeanor.
You just don't like it when a woman is outspoken. You're intimidated by that.
Bitch, you just met me like 10 minutes ago.
Okay,
Finish her.
Most men my age or older wanted to start a family. Yesterday, skipping, she's just repeating herself. This is the 20th feminist writer who repeats herself multiple times in her.
Most women are, what he said, are saying they deserve it, but they really don't.
That's what I'm saying, like, have some self-awareness. Like,
women are delusional.
Like every woman feels that they are exactly that they're entitled.
Like the lady in the Dallas pod who's like, I deserve monogamy, but yet I'm not going to put out. I'm newly celibate. It's just like what she's saying, like for certain, like for a long courting period and all this. So they're delusional because they have this unrealistic expectation of what they feel they deserve.
Even the simps want her. Her brain is still stuck at Forever 21, and the older she gets, the more alone she and post-wars like her will be, until it's just her cats and her boxes of wine.
The vast majority of women that are out there, they carry around a lot of baggage and trauma from the past. 1 in 5 women are on SSRIs or antidepressants. They're overly entitled, they're bratty, they think that they're a 10 when they're really a 4, they're obese, they're covered in tattoos. You hear all these narratives and it's like, the only way that you're going to get past all of that is if you're a top shelf guy.
I'm not saying women can't nor should have standards, but a car with a blown-out engine isn't going to be sold at new car prices. It's going to be thrown away in the scrapyard or sold on Craigslist for $1,000 or $2,000. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future uploads. See you next time.